This morning I'm going to be making sourdough discard pancakes.
Do we have vegetable oil? No.
Go. Hello everyone, welcome to Semi Homesteading with Abby. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's video. We're having a slow morning this morning. We're just sitting outside with this little guy. We kind of let him wander up here and he likes to go in these little bushes and things, so that's pretty cute. This morning I'm going to be making sourdough discard pancakes. I've only made sourdough bread. I'm new to the sourdough game, but one of the homesteading skills that I wanted to learn was how to do sourdough. And I feel like I've pretty much mastered the bread, like not all kinds of bread, just the one bread recipe I have. So now I want to try to make things out of the discard, because obviously you can use more, waste less, all that. So I'm going to be making sourdough discard pancakes, but I need syrup and it's already 8:40, so we're gonna have like a little brunch later. All right, we are back inside. It is time to start making the sourdough discard pancakes and I'm very, very excited. So let's get to it. This recipe ended up being very, very simple. Basically, you just combine some ingredients in a bowl, stir it up, and throw it on a cast iron skillet. So I found the recipe at a website called tastesoflizzietea.com. I will link the recipe below, but all you need is a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of granulated sugar, half teaspoon of salt, half a cup of sourdough starter, 3/4 of a cup of milk, a large egg beaten up, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, which I had a debacle with here in a couple minutes that you will see. But for right now, let's talk about the sourdough starter. So I am using sourdough starter that is pre-fed. So I had fed it last night, waited about 24 hours, and that is the sourdough starter that I'm using, and then I'll feed it again tonight for making bread. So I did not know that before I got into sourdough, what discard really was or at what point you can use the discard, but for this recipe at least, it was pre-fed sourdough starter. Okay, so here's what my batter looked like once all the ingredients were mixed together. I know it should have been vegetable oil instead of olive oil, but it seemed to have the right look and everything, so at the end of the day, I feel like it doesn't really matter, but you know, it turned out. Next time though, I will make sure to have vegetable oil on hand. So I cooked all of these in a cast iron skillet with just a generous amount of butter on the bottom of the skillet. And if I could pass on one thing that I learned today, it is that low and slow heat is much better. You'll see here that I had a little bit of a problem with the 3rd and 4th pancakes being a little bit burnt. They kind of just, you know, I looked and they were underdone, but then I looked what seemed to be a few seconds later and they were blackened. So I really learned to just turn down the heat, just be patient. They will get a nicer golden brown hue if it's just a little bit lower heat for a longer amount of time. So it's hard to be patient, but that is definitely the number one lesson that I learned today. So I made 3 batches of 2. So we ended up with a great stack of pancakes and a great brunch / lunch for my husband and I. It was delicious. So these are the 2 pancakes that kind of immediately got burned. And my other problem, as you can see here, is the flipping of the pancakes. At one point I flipped one pancake onto another, and so I had to kind of recook the other side. You can see how burnt that pancake is there. Boo. Yeah, not so great. But, you know, even though they were a little bit burnt, they still turned out pretty well. And this is where, you know, I learned a great lesson about turning the heat down and just waiting a couple more minutes. So the next one was really a great pancake. And here is a perfect flip and a perfectly golden brown pancake. Redemption is so sweet. Alright, so here's my completed stack of pancakes. Honestly, they look much better than I thought they would. So I grabbed one to try for our little lunch. Gotta have some Mrs. Butterworth syrup, but sadly, I had not taken the little plastic thing off yet, so had to stop and do that. But oh man, nothing is better than a pancake syrup drizzle. So we sat down to try it, gotta have that glass of whole milk. Tasting it, we're doing the taste test. My husband is across from me, kind of poking fun at how YouTubers react to things, so I really did it up for him. So good. Well, that's the video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you want to see more homesteading videos and me learning a bunch of homesteading skills, and I'll see you next week for another video.